Next time you meet me in Gate City. Oh, Cody Pope. I know Cody Pope.
Our friend is Cody, and we not having a good day.
Smack dab in the middle of all that. That was beautifully said, and I love that you said when you have a microphone in hand. And we were able to do it.
It's about just showing up.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, welcome home, welcome for the first time. It's Cody Central time again. If it's your first time here, every week is a little different than the last. That's what makes things interesting, but we're always going to have a wild night. So let's lock in. If you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, drop a comment. Let us know what city and state you're watching from. Shout out to anybody that's already here. The chat is looking like it's going up. Shout out to Jen. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to Fee. We got a good one tonight. Look, everybody's talking to each other in the chat. That's what's up. Let me see if I can show you the comments too, actually. There we go. Yeah, so we got a dope one in store. I'm going to run through my usual stuff. But real quick, I want to start this episode. Oh, shout out to Ryan, who's up in the chat as well. Much love. I want to start this episode out with a huge thank you to my friend Angela Vartuli. She owns a company called Photography by Ann Rova. She shot a lot of the photography at the Giant Steps event, and she is the second ever sponsor of Cody Central. She donated some money to help support the cause as we're trying to keep the studio afloat, get some new equipment, pay for the server space and all that stuff. So huge thank you to my friend Angela. I want to take a moment to tell you guys a little bit about her photography business. Once again, huge thank you to Angela. Seriously appreciate your support. If you guys have any questions about how you can support the show, I will give you some insight on that as we go through the night, and I'll drop another video before the end of the night. You can always go to hellhoundpublishing.com/Cody-Central, and you can always donate right there. So thank you to all of you guys. Much love. If you guys like the music in our sound bed tonight, huge thank you to my Hellhound brother, Beats by Even Though. Make sure you guys follow him on Instagram at Beats_by_even_though. He said lots of people tuning in tonight. That's right. I'm really excited about this, dude. Every week, the show has been getting a lot more fun. We've been getting a bigger audience each week. I love having you guys participate in the live chat. Make sure you guys ask questions for our guests tonight. Make sure you guys shout out what you want to have shouted out. And with that said, let's run through some events. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Hellhound Publishing Facebook page. And as always, if you want to have your show mentioned, just shoot us an email at codycentralshow@gmail.com. And if your event or your pop-up or whatever it is seems like something that I would want to be part of, I would be really stoked to add it into our event run. And with that said, oh, actually, I'm all fucked up tonight. Sorry, guys. I'm supposed to do my my music and movie shit first. I added a bunch of new events to the event run this week, so you can tell where my head is at. But I'm gonna make this pretty quick for you guys. So if you guys remember last week, my movie of the week last week was actually episode 1 of the show Lazarus, which is the new Shinichiro Watanabe anime that's on Max and Adult Swim. Anybody that knows, I'm a huge Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo fan, so obviously I was going to check out anything that he put down. Well, this week they just released the soundtrack for the show already, and the entire soundtrack was composed by Kamasi Washington, who anybody that's been following the show since the beginning, Kamasi has had Album of the Week on the show at least once or twice. He's been a favorite of mine for a long time. And so the soundtrack is the perfect symbiosis of his style and the style that you've come to expect from a Watanabe program, that high-paced fusion, cowboy jazz kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. It's a very eclectic mix for like a heavy jazz record. There's a lot of different tonality and stuff. It's just an awesome record all the way through. So if you guys, right now, I just found it on streaming. So if you're on like Spotify or whatever the hell you listen to music on, look up Lazarus. You'll see Kamasi Washington's name on it. But if it comes out on like CD or vinyl or anything like that, I will definitely be the first to let you guys know. So far, I'm loving the show, and the soundtrack was dope. So with that said, now let's get into our show banner. I'm going to skip movie of the week this week because I didn't have a lot of time to dig into something that I really wanted to talk about. I've been kind of digging in on all this Lazarus shit, as you guys can imagine. So let me pull up my show listing here. What's going on over here in the comments? Yeah, Brian said so good, dude. He's been watching Lazarus too. I know we've been talking about it behind the scenes, and man, what a killer show. So yeah, with that said, let's run through some events. All right, guys. As you guys know, I try to do this event listing every week. Obviously, to keep everybody informed of what's going on in the community around us, but it's also to give you guys a little motivation to start making plans, buying tickets to things ahead of time, marking your calendars, hitting up your friends and making plans. I can't tell you how important it is to get out and support events of whatever kind that you like, whether it's live music, live comedy, movie screenings, repertory theaters, whatever the case is. Just challenge yourself and hold yourself accountable to get out and support the things that matter to you. Obviously, it goes without saying that the pandemic was a huge detriment to live music and live arts in general, even things just like dining and shit like that. So if we ever want to take back some semblance of normalcy, it's important that we all get out and show face once in a while. So with that said, every Sunday night at 9 p.m. at the Shaskeen is Rap Night Manchester in Manchester, New Hampshire. It has open ciphers and artist showcases. It's $5. It's 21 plus. Hosted by DJ Myth, John Caliber, and I9. And that's every single Sunday at the Shaskeen in Manchester. Also, every Thursday is the Laugh Attic at Strange Brew in Manchester, New Hampshire. Comedy open mic, now hosted by Danny P, who was on the show a few weeks back. Every single week, they give open mic opportunities and performance opportunities to regional comedians from all over the place. Incredible place to start working on your routine or to try things out for the very first time. So shout out to the crew over there. And some one-off events. Thursday, April 15th, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds are going to be at the Agganis Arena in Boston, Massachusetts. Thursday, April 17th, Denzel Curry is going to be at Roadrunner in Boston, Massachusetts. Saturday, April 19th, Joe List is going to be at the Wilbur in Boston, Massachusetts. Saturday, April 19th and Sunday, April 20th is the Boston Progressive Jazz Festival at the Armory in Somerville, Massachusetts. Say that 5 times fast. Arts at the Armory. Thursday, April 24th, the legendary Pete Rock is going to be at Oxbow Brewing in Portland, Maine. Shameless plug, Friday, April 25th, Cody Pope and Byron G are going to be live at the Aphodian Theater in Portland, Maine, alongside recent week's guests, Graphic Melee. Shout out to him and his new album, Stereo, out everywhere. Also on Friday, April 25th, the Laugh Attic is putting on another special event, which is High School Dropout 3. The show is a stand-up comedy version of like an end-of-semester book report from some of your regional comedy favorites. These are hilarious takes on things that you wouldn't even expect. They've been doing this like once every couple of months, so really, really cool if you're in the area to check that out. Saturday, May 26th, Initiate is going to... Oh, sorry, I fucked that one up. That's supposed to be April 26th. Saturday, April 26th, Initiate is going to be at Gallery X in New Bedford, Massachusetts, also featuring Women in Peril, Pale Green Stars, Two Boys Kissing, and How Much Art, which is the new band from Pat Flynn of Have Heart and Fiddlehead. Also, as many of you guys know, How Much Art Can You Take is a SSD reference. Rest in peace to Al Burrill, who we just lost recently, Boston hardcore pioneer. Friday, May 2nd, Sparta is going to be at Taffeta Music Hall in Lowell, Massachusetts. Saturday, May 3rd, Bad Bad Not Good is going to be at Roadrunner in Boston, Massachusetts. Also on Saturday, May 3rd is the La Espada Chopper Show, number 4. That's going to be in Haverhill, Massachusetts. There's bikes, bands, beer, food, vendors, raffles. It's at a private location, so go on Instagram and hit up at F6T9W and they'll hit you up with the location. Wednesday, May 7th, legendary stand-up comedian and podcaster Mark Maron is going to be at the Music Hall in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Thursday, May 8th, legendary independent cannabis enthusiast and hip-hop artist Currency returns to Boston with his 420 tour. That's going to be at the Middle East in Cambridge. Also that day, Thursday, May 8th, hilarious stand-up comedian Stavros Halkias from Stavi's World and a lot more is going to be at Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. Friday, May 9th, is the 50-year celebration of Devo going down at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway Park in Boston. Sunday, May 11th, powerfully soulful technical American heavy music act Baroness is going to be bringing their show to the Sinclair in Boston. Monday, May 12th, goes without saying, one of the most prolific hip-hop artists of all time, Kendrick Lamar, will be playing at the Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Sunday, May 18th, Boston hardcore legends Death Before Dishonor are having their record release show at Sonia in Cambridge. Also on Sunday, May 18th, New York hardcore legends Cro-Mags are going to be at Alchemy in Providence, Rhode Island. Friday, May 23rd, live instrumentation hip hop and soul group The Evolutionists, led by Ruby Shabazz and Fee the Evolutionist, featuring musicians Luke Martin, Dom Davis, and Joe Mazzarella, is going to be at Warp and Weft in Lowell, Mass. The next day, Saturday, May 24th, one of the most iconic 80s death metal bands of all time, Obituary, is going to be at the Worcester Palladium. May 31st to June 1st is Tied Down Fest in Detroit, Michigan. There's going to be American Nightmare, Speed, Judge, The Wrong Side, Hope Conspiracy, Fiddlehead, tons and tons more. It's going to be easily one of the best hardcore fests of the entire year. Thursday, June 12th, Fever 333 is going to be live at Taffeta Music Hall in Lowell. Saturday, June 14th, Converge, Caven, and Defeater, plus a bunch more bands, are going to be at the Brooklyn Monarch in Brooklyn, New York. It's a celebration of life show for legendary hardcore promoter Rich Hall. Rest in peace. Thursday, June 19th, legendary hip-hop stalwart Rakim is going to be making his way to Portland, Maine to rock Oxbow Brewing. Saturday, June 21st, Death Threat and Product of Waste are going to be at Alchemy in Providence, Rhode Island. Thursday, June 26th, Boldy James is going to be live at Brighton Music Hall in Boston. Saturday, June 28th, iconic Canadian post-rock group Godspeed You Black Emperor is going to be at Roadrunner for an overdue rescheduled show. Also on Saturday, June 28th, one of the most influential bands of the 2000s, Brand New, is reunited and is going to be performing at the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. Friday, July 11th, 90s emo legends Cap'n Jazz are going to be doing a rare performance at Royale in Boston, Mass. The show was originally at Sinclair and sold out so much that they moved it to a new spot, so get tickets fast. Also on Friday, July 11th, tough day to live in Boston and pick one of these, Wu-Tang Clan's final show ever on their, not final show ever, but their final Boston date of their final tour. It's going to be at the TD Garden. They got Run the Jewels opening for them. Tickets are already on sale. It's going to be fucking insane. Wednesday, July 30th, TV on the Radio is going to be live at Roadrunner in Boston, Mass. Saturday, August 9th, Louis C.K. is going to be live at Foxwoods in Connecticut. And lastly, Friday, August 29th, American industrial legends 9 Inch Nails are going to be at the TD Garden in Boston, Mass. So, as always, every single week, we want to plug cool shit. Hit me with an email at codycentralshow.com with flyer information and whatever. And if it sounds like something that I wish I was going to be at, I would be happy to plug it in the program. So thank you guys for rocking and sending stuff, and hopefully I'll see you guys out on the road somewhere. What up to everybody in the chat? Appreciate everybody that's tuned in, and really excited to get this thing going tonight. So tonight's guest, someone that I'm getting to know for the first time tonight, but we've roamed in a lot of similar circles through the years. Our guest is a cannabis activist, a community figure, as well as a musician professionally known as Disposable Jazz. I'm really excited to have this conversation tonight. Everybody in the comment, drop a bunch of applause and say what's up to my man, Graham Svorten.
Hey,
Graham, how you doing?
nice
brother?
to be here.
Dude, thank you so much for rocking with me
Yeah,
tonight.
we'll be behind enemy lines tonight.
Straight up. Chat, let us know if you can hear us okay. As always, just make sure everything sounds good. My face is going to be turned at this point, but I'll keep checking on you guys.
Yeah.
First things first, as always, chat is officially open for Q&A as long as we're live tonight. If you have any questions for our guest, drop them in the comments. We're going to pick our favorite ones. We'll throw them up on screen and make sure we get them answered. I'm really tripping tonight, guys. I think it's been a while, huh? But with that said, dude, thank you so much for being here.
Dude, you're amazing. You're a huge asset to the region.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you do a great show. It's great that you and it's great that you're so vocal about what's going on for people's events. And I always see you supporting stuff. Bravo to you, sir.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Great space here. Yeah.
Thank you, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We were at the same studio spot for about 12 years before we moved in here. And we were in a different part of town, so it was a lot different of a space. And so the last year and a half of getting this space and doing all the renovations and stuff has been really exciting. So it's always nice to get people in it here to see it, because we get so many remote guests sometimes.
Yeah, Nashville's actually a cool city. Actually, there's record stores and there's things to do. Good food.
So you guys, it's not just me talking crazy.
I like Nashville.
Nashville was cool.
Nashville's actually rated the top, one of the top places to live in the whole country. A bunch of years ago.
For real.
Yeah. If they had weed, it'd probably be called Hashua.
Right.
Yeah. No weed.
They're like, why get free tax money when you can just drive over to Massachusetts and give it all away?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole deal, I guess. It's a whole thing. Yeah, what's the next town over? I forgot the mass town. Tingsboro, yeah.
You could literally walk. If you're at the mall.
That sounds like a Jamaican town. That would be a fairness thing to me. How's Tingsboro? Yeah. The thing about it.
The thing about Tingsboro.
Are you a fan of the beverage Ting? There's a Jamaican beverage called Ting. I hate grapefruit, except I love Ting, and Ting is grapefruit flavored.
Yeah, I've never had that.
Yeah.
Where can you get that?
Sadly, I could get it in Keene. I'm in Keene a lot. In Boston, I know where to get it. You can go get it by Jackson Square. But over in Keene, they had it at Yasso Jamaican Grill, and they sadly closed. Yeah. So no more Ting in Keene. No Ting to do there.
No Ting to do there. All right, chat's already throwing up questions, but I gotta get mine out of the way first.
Yeah.
So I always like to kind of start the show off kind of getting a sense of when people started developing into who they are today. A lot of times it's when did you start becoming a chef, or when did you start pursuing your music? But because cannabis and music are both such big parts of your life, which kind of came first, and how did those have an impact on each other when you kind of found that was a lot of who you were?
Yeah, I think cannabis and music are very connected. I think a lot of people will have that experience. I remember my first kind of time smoking weed was the classic Lee Scratch Perry, Bob Marley tape constantly. We just listen to that and smoke weed. I was always into music. I did in the 90s. I was very involved in the Boston hip hop scene underground, and so Mr. Lift was Lift then, and it was this amazing amount of people doing amazing music, and it was the clubs were the Western Front and the Rap Skeller. Mo Pope was doing stuff with the guy Definite Mission. It was just everyone. It was amazing. This is the golden era, pretty much. It's 90s. So I came from there. I was also into hardcore music. I think hip hop and hardcore is actually very similar as a performer. You know how you write, how you like. Obviously, it's not this. The BPM is different, but there's a lot of similarities.
A lot of similarities.
Yep. And I was a big fan of the Judgment Night soundtrack. I still am. You know, the Onyx Biohazard track is pretty dope. Helmet and House of Pain. You know, there's some amazing tracks there. So I think that kind of sound is probably my favorite like sound. Where it's sort of an integration of the two. And then the cannabis stuff. I've been a cannabis user since I think I smoked early on, but I became a regular user certainly in my teens. And then my friend passed away from cancer, and we were looking at RSO to help him, and he's kind of too far along. But at that point, I sort of realized that cannabis isn't like smokable beer; it's actually medicine. And so from there, cannabis is very, very, very important to me in sort of spreading that message and destigmatization. And then we had the huge blow up of legal cannabis in Mass. So, there's a lot of cool people doing cool things, and I'm already kind of indie minded. And so if you're doing independent stuff, if it's a movie theater or a bowling alley or a cannabis company or a record, I'll probably support you.
Hell yeah.
Food truck. Yeah, I'm into food trucks. You into food trucks?
I'm all about food trucks.
Yeah.
Dude.
What's the good food trucks in Nashua?
Man, so there's one. I'm hoping they're going to be back in Nashua. It was called Denali's Food Truck, but now they just changed over to Dom's Food Truck. But it's like sausages, lobster rolls, like really, really good shit.
Yeah.
I've worked for like different Harley Davidson dealers over the year, and I do like events and marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like anybody that I'm friends with that does a food truck, I'm like trying to get them. Event gigs and shit. Like
I know that there's a Harley Davidson location you might be familiar with over in Revere Beach Parkway, and they have food trucks till like 3 a.m. in the summertime, and that's a whole scene, the Harley food truck thing. What's up with that?
Dude, Harley is just a different world, man. It's so community based that it's like, you know, unlike a car dealership or something like that, it's like people buy bikes, but then it's like, so like I have a motorcycle, but not all of my friends do. In fact, not many of them do. So if I had bought a new bike, especially as like an older person even, it's like, well, eventually you get to like, what do I do? Like, where do I go? I don't have any friends. And so we do these community events, and people can come and hang out and eat food and meet other people that ride. And sometimes we'll have group rides leaving from places, or sometimes we'll have like a bike show or a stunt show or a band playing. So it's really just about like reminding people of like why motorcycles are such a community thing. Like,
are you a fan of Chopper the beatboxer? You that guy?
Dude, I am not familiar.
That guy's from like Lynn, and he also is like a stunt rider. So when he's not like, he hardly ever posts beatbox videos. More often the time, you'll see him doing like wheelies on the sport bikes and stuff. That's a crazy thing. You do that?
No, I do no stunt riding whatsoever. I'm like an old man, like easy rider, just fucking joint hanging out my shit, listening to my music. Like I'm like going 85 is like an adventure, you know. Like, chat. All right, so Megan, Ashton, Amanda, and Jill all say hi, and our boy Ryan sends out the smoke signals because he's down with the tribe as well. We got a question in here, so this is going to be music related, so I guess we'll jump around a little bit. But Scott in our chat said, Graham, how long have you been performing?
My first time on the microphone, I had video from the Rathskeller. I was 22, and I know that because I started off with 22. Like, is that? That was like almost like. I think I played the trumpet in like 3rd grade. Didn't play after 4th grade. But then in my later years, I really like music with trumpets and reggae and whatever was trumpet. I was like, so I was like, I'm gonna get a trumpet. So I got a trumpet, and I would do a lot of busking. I was doing limousine work, so I'd always be downtown. And then at some point, I was like, I should get a speaker and so I could do beatbox, and then I could like take a break from just constantly playing trumpet, because I could play for 20 minutes trumpet, and then your lips, you can't even talk anymore. Like, it's rough.
It's funny. I've watched some of the like Disposable Jazz live sets that are on YouTube, and I've noticed you like break out the trumpet or break out different instruments in your show. It's like cool to see.
So the idea there is that it's it's unfortunate if you're trying to do music and you don't have like a band, you're not established, you're not a great player. It's very difficult to be able to get into the position where you could do music somewhere. You know, open mics and that kind of thing. Open mics are great and I love them, but sometimes they're very time consuming. So if you want to do open mic for your 10-minute slot, you're there for like, it's rude to leave, and you know, part of the whole thing. So like you're there all night, and so sometimes I don't have time for that. So what I do have time for is keeping equipment in my trunk, and when I drive around and I'm like inspired by like a graffiti thing or something funny, or I don't know what, I can pull over, bust up my jam, put it away. I don't have to worry about venues or fans and all that other stuff. I can just do my expression. So that's kind of what it's about. And then I do like beat making and that kind of stuff. I've always sort of loved that. And the idea was, can I do that out in public? So that's what I'm doing. And then without using computers.
Yeah, that's dope. So in terms of like the live production show and stuff like that, how long have you been doing that for now?
I have videos going back from 22. I got it, maybe even 21. And I wasn't really I wasn't thinking about it. I just go back to YouTube. I can see how long it's been. Before that, I had a different project that needed to be plugged in. I was playing bass. It's sort of a similar project, but I was using samples and like record sounds and stuff. But the new thing that's been, I think it's about 3 years now that I've been working on this like sort of more simple project. And the tricky part of it is like how to like not have the sound. I like a lot of sounds, and it's easy to cloud them in a little loop because really at the end of the day it's one track, you know, and it's not like there's like no going back either. So once you put it down, it's down. And so like when you're considering for a live performance, like it's important that you don't mess up, you know. So keeping it simple is kind of the name of the game there. That's what I find. It's the more simple I make it, the better it ends up coming out.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Do you go like into Boston and do like the busking permit kind of shit where it's like,
no, I'm an anarchist. That's kind of the whole thing about it. Is like the whole thing is like
just kind of like guerrilla.
Yeah, I'm like instead of participating in like what you're supposed to do, I'm just gonna not do that and just do what I'm gonna do, which is maybe it doesn't lead to a career, but it doesn't need to. I'm just happy to go outside and get lost in it for a second, you know. That's what it's about. And I grew up in Boston. There's always been buskers. My whole life I've seen buskers, you know. So it seems like a normal thing to do with me. Like it seems like the obvious thing to do. And then with the cannabis piece, I incorporated the bong sound, and so that's interesting in New Hampshire because I do busking a lot in New Hampshire. I get all over New England. But when I go to New Hampshire, I do have conversations with the local law enforcement pretty often. So I'm smart about it. So I don't use my bong for smoking weed. I instead use my little disposable, but you can throw away. That's a plug for my homies at Disposable. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
On that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, New Hampshire's a weird place for cannabis because this is the weird thing about it. Like you can get cannabis in New Hampshire all day long, but it happens to be Delta 8 or Delta 10 or hemp or vape carts or something like that because there's all these smoke shops everywhere or gas stations that are actually smoke shops. And there's bongs like everywhere. And so it's just a weird thing to like not have cannabis legal because there's like the ancillary stuff and even the alternative cannabis stuff is just so prevalent. And a lot of times it's the only thing that's even open in a lot of times. The only economic activity is the gas station, and their main thing is vapes.
It really is so fucking wild.
You know, I was in Nashua the other day, and I needed Frontos. Frontos in New Hampshire, kind of hard to find. Like you could find your spots, but I'm driving down to get gas, and I was actually at Rapid Manchester, so maybe 3 blocks down from Rapid Manchester, there's a gas station that's 24 hours. They have bongs and blunts, and I don't think it's all beer, but they had beer, and they had all the beverages and snacks. So shout out to my homies at I don't know what it's called. I think it's called the Bong gas station.
Yeah, I'll have to pull up there.
Dude. Yeah, I got the Fronto King. No, sorry, I got the old man Frontos, and they were totally fresh. Like I was, you always have to worry about the New Hampshire Frontos.
I feel like that's rare anyway.
Yeah, like is it gonna be like totally dry, like a wafer? Yeah, that's not what you want. Are you a blunt smoker?
Not anymore, but I was for a long time.
Yeah, blunt smokers, they know. Like, you know, it's a whole thing. Yeah, it's tricky business not having blunts when you smoke blunts.
For real.
Yeah, because you're like, hey, I can smoke weed, but there's no blunts, so I don't know.
You ever smoke the King Palms?
I have. Because I spent a lot of time in cannabis world. There's a lot of times you'll get those things as pre-rolls, blunts out, and because of Massachusetts, you can't actually put like a tobacco blunt together, or at least for the legal market. You won't see them. Instead, you'll see blunts, like alleged blunts with King Palm or some other.
Yeah,
they're not bad. I don't hate them.
I think there's Sophie Adams is another one that
That's
I
right.
see all the time.
Yep.
I liked the King Palms. That was kind of my transition.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in dispensaries for I worked almost probably 7 or 8 years before I got into the Harley business.
I did.
So I was at a number of different.
What dispensary you at?
I started at ATG in Salem back in 2015.
Yep.
I was there for a year or two.
So medical. You were doing medical stuff. Yeah.
And then I did Rev clinics.
Oh yeah.
I was there for about 3.5 years or so.
We over at the Cambridge location.
Yep.
Central Square.
Over by Alewife.
Yep.
And then my last dispensary was my worst experience, but I briefly worked at Smith Cannabis in Lowell.
Oh yeah. It was a bad experience.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Fuck that place. I'll look into the lens and say fuck Smith Cannabis.
Oh, yeah, I have one of the t-shirts. I don't know if I wore it. I won't wear it now.
Yeah. Use it as a rag or something.
Yeah, I'm not wearing this. Yeah, things that name Smith kind of suck sometimes.
Yeah, it's just dirty. that was the thing that really showed it's you probably have experienced it too, but it's work doing what you love for work is far different than working in what you love for work.
Yeah, if you want to hate the thing you love, work.
Yeah, and that's what it was, dude. Was Smith was definitely one of those places that just was a reminder of oh, these people don't give a shit about this culture, this community, or anything. It's all just a fucking commodity for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just real shitty people that I met.
The cannabis industry is kind of tricky. You have if you're being conscientious and you're considering voting with your dollar, it's very important to pay attention to who's work with it. I'm kind of I like to get the weed from the if you know a guy kind of weed,
Yeah.
And but I also for instance, I a couple weeks ago I was at the freestyle clinic over in Central Square, Cambridge, and I forgot my weed. I had some weed, but not enough. And I was like, dang, I want to smoke blunts on because when you go to the Middle East show, half the time you're definitely smoking weed with your friends outside. So I don't worry about I have weed. Exactly. Good news, they were there for me. By they, I mean Yamba. The Yamba shop, and they were super cool. They're open late, and I didn't have blunts either. And I was because Cambridge is another hard place to get blunts, Frontos rather. And so I asked the lady who I was talking to there, and she directed me to get blunts. Within 15 minutes, I had a blunt smoking outside the Middle East with Seti Zoo and all the homies. So yeah,
shout out to Seti Zoo.
Yeah, I got
get him on the show. He's a great dude, man.
Yeah, he's a very talented guy, very passionate guy. He's another person who puts a lot of time into being helping the community. A lot of people have rap stuff happening because of the Seti Zoo thing that happened. Freestyle clinic I think is 15 years old or something.
Yeah, such a thought.
And Justice Born too. That's another guy who's
Justice is incredible too, man.
The whole rec shop movement.
I haven't seen Justice in many years now.
But
we've caught up once or twice over the years, and hopefully we'll both be active again.
Yeah, so he's doing stuff these days. I did a called the excursion with him. He put together this event where we went from Firebrand Cannabis over by South Station. We went all the way to Brooklyn, to Queens, to a cannabis consumption lounge there. I think it was called Cake. And then we went to this amazing thing, which was a beat makers thing, and it was the Queensbridge lounge. No, but it was we went to the Queensbridge thing, and they were doing a thing for HAVOC from Mobb Deep, and so people were making beats. It was an amazing event because he's involved in the hip hop more than the cannabis, but he's incorporated cannabis too. He definitely likes the cannabis. And then it was an amazing bunch of. So he's doing stuff like that. He's kind of, and he's he's a busy guy. He's always up to something. And I think he's looking at putting together another Subway Cypher. Did you ever get over to the Subway Cypher?
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
That was the best. Yeah. So if you were there, I was there. Same time and place. It was just so packed.
Yeah,
those things were full, man.
So I went one time.
Yeah.
My man 8 Bizza did the beats one time. and I've been rocking with Bizza for like the last 10 years or so now. So I went down and just kicked some rhymes and hung out when he was doing the beats. And then another time, my homie Q Quick was doing the beats. Went down. I think it was at like the Orange Line or something like that. But it was a dope time.
Yep, Downtown Crossing.
Yep,
that's right. Yeah, that was actually that went on for a while. And that was for me that was important because I had children. I had babies, so I stopped doing music kind of for a while. And that was kind of when I started getting back into it. I said, "Oh, Subway Cypher, I got to go to that." We live on the train back at that point, so it was hop on the train and shoot downtown. And, then that's actually how I ended up seeing now I'm very friendly with Fred City. That's a very, very good friend. But that's actually how that came to be. I met those people all through that Subway Cypher thing.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's like so many great people in that realm. We just had Sean P on the show. Last week, and he was hosting his Express Yourself showcase in Lowell on Friday.
I sadly missed it. I really wanted to go.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
We had a show right around the corner,
Yep.
And there was only 3 acts on our show, so we thought like, our show's going to get out early, and then we'll buzz over there and go kick it with them. But by the time we got over there, it was mad late. But I got to see PSA briefly. I got to see Slipwax. I got to see Sean. Ran into a few people, so it was like, man, it's just like it feels good to like see people like that. It has those like fucking high school reunion feelings. If I like cared,
absolutely,
if I cared about the people,
that's actually a big part of why I try never to miss the freestyle clinic, because like this is the people who have now been my friends for going to 20 years.
Yeah,
and the people like what they like with the MC and the cipher thing is when you're really into it, you just let everything out. Be very honest and all that. So there are people that you're really sharing with, and you're also going on a limb, and sometimes it sucks, and the people, even though it sucks, like, that was fucking horrible, and you fucking are on it. So, there's like these people that are like the people you really meld with at some point, right? Build really tight bonds with. Yeah. And you don't have to see them all the time. You see them after a year. It's like,
and that's the thing, and every time you see them, it's like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like those times are so monumental that time in between doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. I think it's very much like a bowling league or something like that.
I like that.
Yeah. Actually, I have my Bridgeside Cypher shirt on here. It's almost like a bowling shirt.
I know, dude. You just got me thinking. I'm like, damn. Now I want to get like custom bowling shirts made somehow.
Yeah.
Like the old school ones with like the fucking patches and all that.
Bowling going away on mainstream television really closed the door for opportunity for me. I was going to be a bowler. Super good at 10-pin. I'm playing. I was very good at it.
Dude, you had me for a second, dude, because we got Lita Lanes here in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
And that spot is closing down. It's been there for like almost 60 years.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like they didn't own the building ever, so some realty company is like going to sell it. And
it's horrible.
Yeah. And it's like they're looking for another spot to move into, but it just is like certain things, I don't care if it's a bowling alley, a bar, whatever. It's like certain things should just like be considered like historical monuments sooner than they do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like I get like statues and fucking old architecture and things like that, and like I'm all for that, but I just think that there needs to be an inclusion for like legacy businesses that have like seen nearly a century of a city.
Especially here in England with that Yankee New England charm.
Yeah,
and it's sad when that goes away. They put up modern Chipotle buildings in place of like
it's
some
gross
ancient building. Bowling I feel like is a missed opportunity for people who like cannabis. I went to Bobby Nuggs. I don't know if you know Bobby Nuggs. He's a Rhode Island guy, huge cannabis guy. He in Hitman Glass a couple years ago put together this. They're doing this cannabis weed week event. It was a couple years ago, and they rented out a whole bowling alley, and it was DJ Kyle Camry. Actually, it was Digital Storm. So with Tim, DJ Icarus was there, and then everyone was bowling, and you could smoke weed in there. And it was seriously like the best thing ever. And the best part of it was, I don't know if I hadn't been bowling for a while. As a pot person, as a cannabis person, it's tricky keeping track of what you just did.
Yeah.
The robots take care of all that shit now. So you just bowl, and your numbers pop up, and it's like AI is like keeping track for
See,
you.
it's like let AI do that.
Yeah,
shit.
let AI do
I'm
that.
okay with that.
Yep.
You don't gotta make movies for me.
That's right.
Or illustrate my flyers for
Yeah.
me. Just keep scoring my bowling games and like figure out some fucking equations. Like
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird AI rapping at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like I tried to like be cool with the AI shit, and like I have conversations with guests on the show because I've obviously had like visual artists and shit like that, and I try to be like a center kind of like, well, we got to decide how we apply it kind of thing, and blah blah blah. But man, these last like 2 weeks with all these like action figure fucking like everybody getting their own action figure and everybody having a Studio Ghibli picture and all this kind of shit, it's like it's really like turned my stomach a bit, because it's like a lot of these people are people who have like an immense sense of integrity about music or about something that's like their thing, but they're okay with like participating in this like garbage social trend that like doesn't matter if it's a detriment to like real artists, especially like the Ghibli one. You know, the action figure one, I just think it's fucking played out.
Yeah.
But, like, the Studio Ghibli one, it's like, dude, you're talking about Miyazaki, who has spent his entire life coming up with this art form, like at least the style of his art form and the style of storytelling and like the color palettes that he, like all of these things are things that he's like honed in and built on for so many decades. And to just like allow a computer to like regurgitate photos like in that style is just like, bro, how much do you really like? But I could like go off on a whole tangent.
Yeah, that's one of the things like where you can like clench your fist and be mad about it,
or
and
just figure out where to apply the shit accordingly.
But it's rolling over us. That's just how it comes down to integrity, and integrity is unfortunately not a prerequisite for living.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right, though. I mean, there's a lot of jobs going away, not just art jobs, but AI is going to take a lot of jobs. So, we were seeing the fun part of it now. Yay, got my action figure. Yeah, I also like you. I don't enjoy participating like in like the whole thing that everyone's doing. For not to do that, and it's like like the first time you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then the 90th time it's like, ouch, hurts. Yeah.
It's like I even like was saying to I was like on a rant at one point this morning, I think, and I was like, would I like to see what a Cody Pope action figure would look like as like an old school fucking comic nerd and animation nerd and shit? Absolutely, I would.
Yeah.
But not at the detriment of like arts and fucking so many other things, you know, and like my data, all of that kind of shit. It's like if I could work with a visual artist who could like draw or like do something in that style, then it would be cool, you know?
Yeah, you know, that particular art form I actually do like. Now it's AI, but like when people would actually go buy action figures and take them apart and we put them back together to create like an original action figure, then they would buy a bubble pack and then redo the packaging and put it back together, and it looks like it was a brand new thing. That's like that for me. I love. That's a thing I love. You know?
Have you seen Wicked Joyful?
Oh, it sounds really familiar. What is that?
Dude, so he's shout out to Nick LaValle. He's a musician and a comedian, but he runs this company called Wicked Joyful. He's been doing it for years, and he 3D prints his own action figures and makes the packaging and like has stickers that look like the old like Toys R Us price gun stickers and shit. But he makes them for real, and they're typically just like a one-off or a small batch run that he sells.
Oh, shout out Wicked Joyful. That was amazing.
Yeah. And so it's like, dude, there's people that have been doing this for real. Yeah. But it's like, why spend money and time when you can just put in a Chat GPT prompt and like get it for free at whatever it costs, you know, like whatever the moral and fucking future cost of that is.
Yeah, I think there's an effect too. Like when you can visually see something for free, you don't want it as much. Like those niche little, like when you go to whatever, you know, stores. I can't think of the name right now. Like where they have like, you know, ironic products, like, you know, one-offs, like probably he would make, and then you're like, oh, I really like, you know, whatever character, whatever actor, and you want to buy that thing, and then if you can just go look at it, it's like, I see it all the time. I don't need it. And then I find out with records. So now I used to go record shopping. if I now go to a record store, part of the consideration is like, do I really want to spend the money versus going to YouTube and listen to the record? Like if it's something I had on cassette or something, because like vinyl's different than like you might already have the record, but to actually have it, it's like I don't know. But that's changed things because in the '90s, if you didn't have the record, you couldn't listen. That's how it was. Like like Wu-Tang, you don't have the record. Sorry, are you listening to something that's not Wu-Tang?
Now I notice a lot of artists are kind of like reverting back to that too. Like he definitely didn't like create it, but a big proponent of this idea was like Rock Marciano, who with the Rosebud Revenge records put them out as physicals first or digital downloads through his website, and there was no like tentative release date for it to go to any of the DSPs or anything until he went into the black on doing the whole album, and that became his motto. And so it was like fans were encouraged to buy the shit off the rip if they wanted to have the luxury of fucking listening to it on streaming.
That's very smart. Yeah.
And I just thought, it's like I thought that was brilliant, and I feel like Griselda kind of built upon that as well, and they were doing that for a while. And I'm starting to see more and more artists kind of just put streaming on the back burner because it's like it only benefits the consumer ultimately. And as a consumer, it's like I am always talking about long live physical media, and I run a record label and we sell CDs, and it's like I'm all about that shit. But I would be lying if I said I never use Spotify, whether it's like at the gym or on my motorcycle or while I'm working or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there is a place for these things.
Yeah.
It's just that the ecosystem isn't there for it yet. So
it's unfortunate they don't serve as a platform to get people to buy music.
Yeah.
Like you'd say, like, oh, I heard the song I liked, I should go buy it. I think that initially was the platform, right? But
like iTunes, people loved iTunes, and I still it's interesting because there's certain artists that I'll see that'll post like our album just went #1 on iTunes charts, blah blah, and I'm like, I didn't realize people were still like downloading digital files from iTunes like that, but then says the guy who still listens to CDs in his car.
Do you have an iPhone or do you use Android?
I have an iPhone.
You do? Yeah, I have an Android, so I haven't been messing with Apple stuff in a while.
Yeah.
Like I still use Apple computers, but for the modern Web 2 stuff, it's tricky business, but it's to decide whether you want to put your stuff out for free. A lot of artists do that because it's so hard to get heard, and so it seems like. But maybe that's not a good idea because if you ever try to give away something for free on the street, it's impossible. Like take dollar bills and try to give them away. Hey, guy, I want to give you this $1. We're like, no.
It's like a tough burden to bear, It's like I've done both. I've given shit away for free, and I've sold shit at what felt like kind of a premium sometimes, and both like worked, but neither worked enough to be like, oh, this is the way. The reason I've stuck with like the physical stuff is because it does enough in terms of like allowing us to get to the next project. We're like putting out this last album on CD first and waiting a few weeks for it to go up on streaming gave us the opportunity to people would buy that CD. We would do a release show, and if we sold 30 or 50 copies that night, a lot of that paid for like whatever went into manufacturing, if we paid for any mix mastering shit. And so it's like once we get to zero, then it's like, okay, we can spend again. Like we're the ones making these investments, so it's like as long as we're not losing our ass and putting our families at risk, like we can continue to do this. And so I kind of get the game, and I'm like, every record I'm like slowly kind of like tweaking the plan to figure out like how do we really play this card right and do it fairly for everybody. That's why we've been building on Patreon for a long time now too. We've been on Patreon since 2018, and we always try to like give people like pre-release streams of the album so they can like listen to it like a month before it comes out kind of shit. And like when we had like multiple podcasts, we would put like the ad-free versions of them on Patreon for people and just different things like that. But
Patreon's kind of cool.
Yeah, I dig Patreon a lot. Are you on there too for anything?
We are on there, but I haven't been active in there probably in a while. I haven't been posting. It's tricky to get everything posted everywhere. You know, there's a lot of places to go.
Yeah.
And if you post in some place, you don't really see a lot of people, you know, interacting. Yeah, somebody's like, I don't have time for that today. And over time, you just kind of forget. But I should be posting stuff from Patreon. That's for the Cannabis.org project. We do a lot of interviews. We cover a lot of events and that kind of thing. But I didn't really consider using it for the music. That's very interesting. Do you find it's hard to give people CDs in the real world? Like, do you feel like people are like CDs or like because back in the day, CDs were great because you could buy them super cheap, you could rip them, you could burn them all night, you could like put together like 100 CDs in your backpack and go essentially sell them. And now it's like people don't even have CD players, so maybe they'll buy it, but like I'll buy it, but I don't have a CD player.
It's, you know what's interesting is it's definitely not as easy of a sell as like having vinyl, right?
Right.
Which feels like a crazy fucking thing to say, honestly. But
yeah,
I will say that like the CDs have like kept us afloat through the years because it's a much more accessible medium. Even if you don't have the thing, like to get a good record player that doesn't sound like a Crosley or something like that, and it's gonna like scratch your record or sound like it's coming through like on my floor like that, you know, you're dropping like a nice chunk of change. But people forget that, like, oh wait, my laptop has a fucking CD drive, or my old Mac Mini has one, or my car has one, or my PlayStation has one, or my desktop computer has one, or whatever. It's like they remember that they have one, or they like go on Amazon and they're like, oh, I can get like a USB joint and play shit off this for fucking less than.
You can go to Family Dollar and get a little CD player radio unit.
Yeah, people got Blu-ray players at home and shit like that. So it's like, bro, pop it in and listen to it on the fucking 5.1.
Yeah,
you're blown away at how much better it sounds and that it doesn't lag or anything like that. Like Spotify now is like starting to lag because of data usage and shit like that, and like joints will start like skipping or whatever the case is, and it's like baffling. It's like, man, we pay money for this. It doesn't sound nearly as good. It lags and it's slow. The only upside is just the accessibility to the library, you know?
What do you think of Bandcamp?
Huh?
What do you think of Bandcamp?
Man, I rode hard for Bandcamp for a long time.
Yeah.
I really like Bandcamp. I'm just like not so big on it in these later years because I feel like the platform has changed a lot, and as the business has like changed ownership, it's become more and more like, now we're owned by this big company. Oh, now we just got bought out by this big, and it's like, well, wasn't this like what the fuck we were trying to avoid? And so like I'm still on Bandcamp and I still like put our records up on there, but my biggest thing is honestly our website. We have a commission-free web store built into hellhoundpublishing.com. So it's like, if you buy the record from hellhoundpublishing.com, even if it's like a digital download, I still get more of that than I will through Bandcamp, even on Bandcamp Friday. And so it's like, you know, it's like nowadays, it's like you're just incentivized to direct people to your own traffic.
Yep. And especially with we're in a weird time where people's content is getting erased. And so if you build your whole thing on Instagram, I know Bobby Knowles, we talked about him earlier. He had like 5 billion like subscribers, and they just took his channel away. And so if you're using it in a business way, and you're, you know, this is your base,
to make your life
and all of a sudden you can't communicate with anybody, and no one's seeing your stuff, and so it's important to, I think, always have your own, have control over something as much as possible. Even if it's not the main thing you're working with, like at least you have that to fall back on.
Absolutely.
If everything goes away.
And it's one of those things, like I've been fortunate to do like marketing in like the motorcycle industry the last few years, like I was saying, and one of those things that I really like picked up a lot is like, what is the point of like the piece of content you're doing? And so in terms of like whatever you're doing should always have like a call to action, so to speak. And as like an independent person, what better call to action to have than like your own website or your own web store or even a link tree that's your own URL that redirects to the other shit, but just like having a central base that you can call yours and to drive your traffic to. So it's like you're saying, it's like everything I put on Instagram is like, please follow to YouTube, please follow to buy tickets on our site, please follow to like merch on our web store. It's like, I'm a part of this community, but I'm hoping you'll like come to my house. You know, it's like I feel like Instagram is like meeting kids at the playground, and then it's like, well, you guys want to come over to my house and fucking watch movies and shit? Like, I got a skateboard ramp at home if you want to come by, like, and that's what like getting them to my website is like that equivalent. Oh shit, like let's just go hang out at this kid's driveway and eat his parents' food, and like
websites are great because you can really put together the thing how you like, and like you're saying, you know, who's commission when you sell things in your store, which I know you can get like a free store from Big Cartel.
Exactly.
5 items or something.
That's what. Yeah, we did that for a long time with my first record label that I did.
Yeah.
And then I got lucky because the place that we do our website with allows the store to be like built into it. So it's like, otherwise I would use a Shopify. Like I do like, I think Shopify is a great platform, and it is like worth paying for if you're in like the retail space or whatever. I won't lie and try to say my shit is better than Shopify, but man, for free as like an independent artist or entity, it like has everything I can need pretty much. You know, besides a few little luxury tweaks.
Yeah, it's good for it's an interesting time we're in. It's easy and hard to get anywhere.
Yeah, dude, no joke.
Dichotomy of technology.
Dude, I want to ask you because I feel like it's crazy how much time has already passed.
Oh yeah,
We've been having such a good
yes.
But I want to get into the SmokeNHerb radio show.
Yes,
because that was kind of the first thing that I like picked up from you when we met, and it seems like the thing that you're like proactive with. Yeah,
that's probably my most active project.
So when did that start? How'd you kind of get it? How'd you get that thing going?
So there was this meeting I had with the people. It was called the David Bieber Archives a couple years ago, and they were looking at this is probably 2016, 2017, and they were looking to put together some sort of cannabis programming for what their archives are. They have so much music memorabilia from all the Boston radio stations over the years. It was put into storage. Folks like Dave Tree from the band Tree and a bunch of other folks. Shout out to my homie Joe. They went and ripped out all this stuff from that's Joe Packard, the greatest bass player in Alston, by the way. They went and pulled out all the stuff from the warehouse, and they put shelves. I think Dave Tree was building shelves, you know, and so they have an amazing amount of records and posters. And someone donated turntables because naturally this one's vinyl. And so we were trying to do shows, and I had an idea to do a Herb Albert based show. I'm a big Herb Albert fan back in the day. Part of that is going to record stores. That's like one of the most. If you have turntables, and you're like, oh, buy this record with the lady covered whipped cream. It's kind of a sexy record. You go from there, and then I just kind of like the sound. So I thought it'd be good to have a show called SmokeNHerb, which would be talk to people from the cannabis community, and then we'll play Herb Apple records. And that's kind of how it started. And then I was doing it just by myself. And then Candace J joined me and started doing Carlos started helping with the sound. And we did about a year and a half or something there. And then they were changing the space, so we had to get out of the space. It was kind of a makeshift little studio. So I started just doing it from my house. And then now I do it a little bit differently, but still the same idea. I think we're like on the 45th episode. We've talked to an amazing amount of tons of hip hop artists, but not just hip hop artists. But we've had Mr. Liff is on, and just recently we had MC Homeless. It was at the show, the Cool Keith show. We had Brzezowski, and we've had Burn Hermit, and, you know, like lots of amazing people from the area. But then even when I was at a art gallery, I got to talk to Killer Priest, and he did an interview with me. So we also talked to people from cannabis communities, like Bobby Nuggs. I mentioned him like 10 times now, but he's a great dude, and we've had him on a few times, and Bailey, and a bunch of people from Rick Nye is typically I think Rick Nye is like the OG of hybrid. He invented Gainesville Green strain many years ago, but since then he's a cannabis like powerhouse, and have him on pretty often, folks like that. And we play Herb Alpert records, so it's kind of the older style show where I don't know. My idea was like play records, and while the records are playing, talk to people. Especially the records I'm playing tend to be instrumentals, and people might. It's not music, but it kind of has that elevated music vibe a lot of times. Just how it is. So I thought it lent itself well toward it, and that was the idea.
Oh,
yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask about, because I was listening to a bunch of the, I guess they're kind of like shortened versions of the episodes on YouTube, and it sounds like some of them are like recorded remotely. One of them I was listening to was like at like a supply store or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of like remote episodes like at different spots, or
so?
More of
I moved from Boston to Keene, New Hampshire. I'm still in Boston a lot, but like my physical address is now in New Hampshire. So now I have. It's difficult to get people in the room. So when I first started, we were kind of having people come to the studio only. We were just doing it at the studio. The whole thing was live, one shot, which was actually difficult. So you're trying to put it all together. And
I feel that you trust me.
Yeah. So my brain at the end of it was just like done. Now I do it totally differently. I start early in the week. I contact people. I do a lot of phone interviews, or I go remotely and I have lapel mics and I record the little sections there. And then when it finally comes time, because now the show's on Sunday, at some point before Sunday, I'll do the 90-minute mix with the Herb Alpert records, and then like on channel 3 or channel 4, I have computers playing the clips, and I'll bring them in. But it's very much like a DJ situation.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the Herb Alpert records, is that why it's kind of like a Spotify exclusive, because you have the means to?
No, but the problem is because I'm playing those. My first idea was to put on YouTube, and then have like not have the video of the show, but have other video. But I kept getting flagged because I'm playing copyrighted material. So I think it would work better if I was doing it live. But maybe I'll look at that. The Spotify thing, it seemed like it made sense because I'm doing an audio only show, and I'm not doing video on purpose. I think people get more comfortable when there's not the video component, and like they really open up more. Like, where people are like considering how they're looking like the whole time. I noticed a different vibe, and you can really kind of get into stuff a little more. People just feel comfortable. So I thought Spotify made sense for audio podcasting. But we're also I put it on archive.org, and I'm looking at different platforms now. I would like to get a 365. Initially, we're on 365, but it's pretty expensive. And I don't have any like sponsors yet, so we're trying to build up a good show and at some point go that route. But right now we're kind of relying on people to share and subscribe and listen. If we have artists who like, it'd be great if you could share that and interact and like everything else.
Yeah.
If you don't, that's okay. We're still here doing it.
I'm always on here begging everybody, so I know the feeling.
Yeah.
That reminds me, if you guys see the banner that's going down there. Couple websites that you guys can follow to keep up with everything that Graham is involved with. First one is cannabis.org, cannabos.org. There's also SmokeNHerb.com, as well as the Wash Daily. So how did you get involved?
The Wash Daily is kind of on hold right now, but that's the new show, but I will be getting it back together soon. It's just very time consuming because you have to read the news, absorb the news, and be able to report on it, record it in a car wash, and export it every day of the week.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a lot of different content going down.
So I was doing that, and I kept not getting my other videos done, and no one was really watching my watch videos. It just wasn't picking up. So it got to get a decision to take a break from that for a bit and to like figure out how to make it either more watchable or I don't know, it's more exciting. But it's still up there, and it's important because that's actually what I do interviews in the cannabis industry. It's important that I'm aware of the news. So that was actually like the reason why I started doing it. I was reading news every day. I was in the car wash. I was like, why am I not making car wash news reports just to make a no-brainer? Which now that I say it again, I'm like, why am I not doing that again? So check with me next month. Hopefully the Wash Daily. But that was that whole thing was, like I said, I was already reading the news because I was interviewing people. And when you interview people, it's great when you understand their industry, what's happening, recent events, history. And the interviews just end up going a lot better. I think as an interviewer, you look a lot less dumb if you have good questions.
Yeah.
So, and then the Cannabis Project. That was the first thing I started. And so that's about the hub's hemp history, contemporary cannabis culture. John Dvorak is the guy who made the site called hempology.org. One of the aspects of the site was how important cannabis was to New England, especially Boston. 90% of the people worked in the cannabis industry, cordage and sales, basically. That was like 1620s up to the 1800s. But you can only talk about rope for so long. So I started also covering, it was very exciting times, 2016, 17. Things are coming, things are opening up, people are getting licenses, and, the saga was beginning, now it's many years into it. So the focus was like covering the events and covering the people who are interesting in the arena, the independent people, especially, and the independent businesses. There's a lot to cover. Yeah, that's kind of how that sort of came about. And then from that show, and that's sort of where SmokeNHerb Radio is actually under that umbrella, because it's all the people who I would have known from my time, interviewing and going to events and talking to people. But I think the SmokeNHerb Radio show is probably my favorite project we're working on because it's interactive. I'm not just sitting at my computer, like going over pictures and writing, trying to be creative as a writer. It's more fun talking to people, and then I actually like the aspect of the mixing part. Is actually something I look forward to.
That's really such a unique concept too.
Oh yeah, I think nobody's doing a show like that right now, and I think that's an important thing. Like doing stuff differently, and that's the music thing too. Like I don't know of anybody making anything that sounds like, for better or worse, like my sound. Yeah. And so I think having a sound is important to people is more important than people liking your sound. Like you might have a sound that people are gonna like, and so you do it and people do like it, but it's like something you kind of did on purpose for that reason, versus like developing your own voice. So I could put on a British accent all day. You're like, that's funny, but I should really develop my own voice, my own accent. Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah.
So one thing I like to always kind of like ask people is, and this could be like whether like you personally, for SmokeNHerb radio show, for your music, whatever kind of like comes to mind, but do you have any sort of like long-term goal that you're working towards with any of your creative projects?
So the music project, more than anything, is really like mental health. Like I get angry and mad, and that's like I get it out there, right? So that's almost like if you know somebody who goes shoot basketball once a week, like that's what I do. I'm gonna go make a jam somewhere in public, and I like that because if you play in public, it's really good when you play at somewhere like a venue, because like you're not nervous at all because you play in public. You're playing in public is hard because like imagine going to the corner, it's quiet, and you're gonna go disturb the peace to people you don't know.
Yeah, for real.
That's fun. But yeah, it's a whole thing. So it's a practice. I consider it like really good practice for performance reasons. It's very difficult playing outside. At least at first, getting over it. Now it's not, but at first it was. You kind of like, I really want to play trumpet. Is it gonna suck? It's gonna be horrible, Yeah, that part is mostly there. So I'm already had success with the music because I feel better after I do it. So that's so cool. And then the other projects, big goal of mine is full destigmatization. I love to see people have access to cannabis. I think that's important medicine, and I wish it wasn't the case that people didn't consider it for alleged moral reasons when there aren't any. But at some point, if I could grow my channel, my project big enough, and I don't know, start to get income from it, that'd be good. I don't know what that even would look like, but if I don't, that's okay too. It's more like, I don't know. I don't watch television. I'm a voluntarist. I feel like if you don't have what you want, you should make it. And so that's what I'm doing.
I like that. I think that's a really dope concept.
Yeah.
This one always like stumps people, so if you need a second to think, that's cool. But what would be like a piece of advice that you would give to people that you feel like is kind of reminiscent of your life experience?
Well, always take chances. Be less afraid of the result of your chance than not taking it. There's so many times where I'd have an idea like, hey, I should do this thing, and then for whatever reason I didn't do it. and then later say like, oh, it would come back to me somehow. Like I got some information where it showed me I should have just done that. Opportunities, whatever else. I think don't be afraid to suck. Be okay with being shitty at stuff. It's fine. Everyone sucks. Music sucks. Everything sucks. At the end of the day, the only good music is bird songs.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
It's fine. Jazz is applauding you on that because they agree as well. Yeah, I think that's great though, man. Thank you so much.
This is amazing. I really appreciate you having me on here, and you do great work. I look forward to sharing your posts and all that, trying to help you build.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do another one of these because there's so many.
Yeah, we actually want to have you on the SmokeNHerb radio show too. So
yeah,
we'll talk about that later. But
I'm definitely down for that. We
yeah,
definitely have to do part 2 of this soon because there's so much music stuff that I feel like we could cover, and so much more of the cannabis stuff I want to get into. I will wrap by saying, make sure one more time, check out the banner. You guys follow Graham, cannabis.org, SmokeNHerb.com, and maybe soon some updates on the washdaily.com. Anything that you want to plug or any final words that you want to say to people before we... I
want to shout out the entire Blue Room posse, the Bridgeside Cypher, all the rappers out at the Electric Haze. My homie Arachusis, I just did an interview with him. He's up in New Hampshire, and the Boys in the Wood crew. And I'd like to shout out the OD crew, and also my homie Bob, Bobby Cannabis. That's my dude. Cannabis J, the homie Carlos, all the cannabis people in the world who are working for making the plant available to those who should have it. I'd also like to big up to you, Cody Pope, and people like you who are putting it on themselves to take the time to put out this kind of information. So thanks, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate you. Guys, make sure you guys follow Graham. Make sure you find him online. Make sure you find him on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you're at. He's got a ton of stuff going on in both cannabis and music and art. And so it's really important to stay tapped into people that are also tapped into things you care about. So thank you so much, man. Everybody, this has been an awesome night. Appreciate everybody that was here. Appreciate everybody that had the chat jump in. We've got some really cool episodes coming up, and our next few episodes are all in studio guests. So the studio is going to be looking a lot different over the next few weeks as we do some remodels and start to implement some of this new equipment. One more time before we go, I really want to send a huge thank you to my homie Angela, photography by Ann Rova. She sponsored last week's episode as well as sponsoring this week's episode. So before we go, I just want to take a moment to tell you about her photography. She did a lot of the photography at the Giant Steps album release party. You'll see a lot of that photo. Even my little photo in the corner that says hosted by Cody Pope, she took that. She's phenomenal, and she really cares about the arts. She's in the heavy music scene. She's in the hip hop world. She does commercial photography. So check her out real quick before we go. And just as a final reminder, anybody that's in or around the Portland, Maine area, Cody Pope and Byron G will be at the Efodian Theater on Friday, April 25th, alongside Graphic Melee, Crate Killer, and more. It's the Graphic Melee album release party for his new album, Stereo. You can get some insight on that from our episode from a few weeks back. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are home safe, get home safe. Have a great night. We got some awesome episodes coming up. Hope you guys go listen to Giant Steps. And until next time, much love.
This program was written, produced, and created for live stream broadcast by Cody Pope. To learn more about Cody Pope and Storytellers Creative Services, please visit www.hellhoundpublishing.com/services.
Cody here. Thank you so much for being part of another episode of Cody Central with me. If you'd like to support the program and help me sustain and grow the show, please consider checking out the QR codes below, which include my latest album release, our Patreon channel, as well as general donation links to help us offset some of our programming costs, such as our streaming platform and studio rent. I've also launched a fundraising initiative directly through the Hellhound Publishing website. For any of the increments shown, you can promote your event, service, album, product, merchandise, podcast, business, or whatever it is you have, in addition to a number of other benefits. Check out the website for more details and an easy way to contribute to the cause.
Okay.